Hi everyone. Sound check. Can you all hear me? Can you stick a message in there? Hello everyone. Can you stick a message in there? Make sure you can hear me, okay? I could hear myself. Just to make sure. Cool. Right, how are we doing for people? Okay, well, there's a few in here. What's today all about? Okay, so I'm planning on doing a few. We're going to call them Monday night streams. I did a poll. What night? Every single day of the week, what night? And it was 20 people voted for Monday, 2 for Tuesday, and basically no one for anything else. So Monday night it is. I thought I'd because I've been really busy. I've been crazy busy, it's I just haven't had time for any of this. I know I did it before the Kickstart because we all do that because we want to sell as many as possible. But once I got into the whole, getting everything done, it just become I couldn't do it. Just didn't have time. So the idea of this stream, let me see how we're doing. Okay, the idea of this stream is get some communication going, and answers questions, and a few things I want to go through. But a part of it's going to be please buy my cases. It's bound to be that, but it's really about a kind of a mix. Just answering questions. So I do want to talk to you about new plans, not guaranteed, just things I'm thinking of that I would like to do next, because I have it sounds a bit grand, so I've got a vision, but I do kind of have a roadmap that I'm trying to follow. Right, so there's quite a few people on it now. So the first thing is a bit of housekeeping. The emergency exits are. If you want to ask me a question, I've actually put this in the chat, but if you want to ask me a question, please put question at the beginning of the message, because what I'll do is I'll scan down the messages in the chat. When I get a chance, I'll scan down and then have a look at have a look for the word question right at the beginning. So if you don't put it there, I'll just assume you're talking amongst each other. So that's that. I just want to see if actually, let me just see if I can pop this out. Pop out chat. Might make my life a little bit easier. Go away now. I don't want to do updates. Oh no, that's okay. I thought I was a bit worried. There was. Let me just sort this out. Now, bearing in mind I'm doing this on my own, so if there's any problems, just put a message in the chat and we'll be good. Right, so okay, let's go through this. Right, so basically I've got a few points I want to cover, and then once I've gone through them, it's just answering questions. I've got some bits I want to show you. You'll also notice I've got my machines running, and I thought if you want me to show you my kit, then I'm happy to do that. Right, I've got a little list. Let's go through the list, and by all means write your questions in the chat, and we'll just work on through this. I'm here until you get fed up with me, basically. Right, okay, so this is for Mystics customers. Now, as you probably know, originally I got Edu to manufacture 50, and then they sold out almost instantly. So I got them to make 125. They sold out pretty quick. If you don't know what a Mystics is, this is a Mystics. And basically what it is, it's a mini ITX board that goes into my frame and mounts that, and that then goes into the case. I haven't got the legs on this, but you can see it goes into the case. the board as well. Let's just show you some of the originals. So I had three prototypes basically. First one was this, which worked fantastically. I'm really pleased with that. But as you can see, you know, everyone jumped on it and went, "Oh, it hasn't got this, it hasn't got that." It was absolutely crazy. But so that one was the first one that Eddie made, and then that evolved into almost the finished one. It wasn't. Yeah, I know, Babylon 5. I'll come to that a bit later on. Then we come on to this one, which was this was not the final prototype, funny enough, but this was the almost final. Okay, you can see there at the moment they're green. I had to really twist Edu's arm. It's got to be black. Anyway, so the final version came along, which was this one. Now, this is subtly different because there was another. This is the finished production board, not the final prototype that I had, which is in that machine over there. Okay, it's in that machine over there. And it was subtly different, and so there's a couple of things I missed. Okay. Right, let's get straight. As far as I'm concerned, I stand by this. Fantastic board. I absolutely love this board, and I do think it is just an absolutely wonderful device. Okay. But there was probably two issues. One was originally when I first started shipping these out. If you was ordering a deluxe pack, you got one of these plates, and it allowed you to put one of these extenders. See the cable, okay? And I added them into a whole bunch of Mystics orders. What I didn't realise, just because we always connect to it via network and FTP. What I didn't realise was you couldn't get, because it goes into here. I know I haven't got the board on here, but it goes into there and it bangs up against this, and there was no way getting around it. And neither of us noticed this. We did actually, funnily enough, we did notice when he sent one prototype through, you couldn't even get the memory card in there, so we corrected that. But we didn't think of the extender board on this, so that was my mistake. Unfortunately, in the way this is done with this little board that goes on top, it makes it very almost not impossible, because there are some skinny boards. If you see this little, this here, okay, that plugs in. But these bits on the side where they come out the shoulders, what that's doing is it's stopping it from going in. You can apparently get them where they're a bit longer, so you can theoretically do it. It's one of those things, I missed, and I apologise. But it is. I'd always just connected via the network. I never thought it was an issue. So we just thought it was, it was brilliant the way it was. I will say on my new kits, it's not an issue because the board is completely open. But I'll come back to that later on. But my kit, I'll come back to my kit later on. Right. The next, next I think there's really only two. Now this I'm going to completely and utterly blame Edu, right? Okay, but I have to take some of the blame. So I didn't realise he was putting an optical output on it. I had no idea. Now, where my part, I'll accept some of the blame. If you look on this prototype, you can see pads for it. And on my final prototype, the pads were there for it. I didn't connect the dots. So when I designed the rear panel, now don't say the obvious thing, okay? Don't say the obvious thing because you're going to be wrong. Now bear in mind this has not got the standoffs. It's not just screwed on. Can you see when it was made? You see it's quite thick, yeah? Because it was closing off that gap, because that, admittedly, it's not in the right position because I haven't got standoffs on, but you can see it looks lovely and neat, okay? And then all your other cables, your HDMI, RJ45, and that's a double USB header can go onto there. But if you can see around the back, just here, it's right behind that piece of metal. Now, you're going to probably think to yourself, but Steve, if you cut a hole out, it didn't matter, because unfortunately, Edu, he's got one of my cases, and I'm not blaming him for the end of the world, but he's got one of my cases, and he didn't think to put it in the case to make sure that actually the cutout, which is it's a bog standard mini ITX cutout, would fit. And you can't, even if you put that in there, even if you made a complete new frame, the connector won't go in. So unfortunately on this board, now again, I never advertised optical, ever. I never told anyone it was optical. I always said there was stereo output with a DAC. But it's unfortunate. Now, you might be able to, if you want to get a Dremel, you can have access to the optical, because there's plenty of meat on the case, okay? But I obviously don't want to cut the case apart to do that. So yeah, that was unfortunately, it wasn't an advertised feature. It was something that was added on. I wasn't aware of it, and it was basically after 3 prototypes. But that's one of those things. Having said that, I still think it's. I haven't seen a board actually out there. I'm going to come to another board, but I haven't seen another board out there that goes into a mini ITX case that's as good at the moment. But of course, I made 125 of these and sold them all. I did have. We had I've got 2 spare, which I have advertised today. So that first one's been sold. There's one more, but you can't just buy the board. I'm not doing that. The idea of the boards, because I don't make any money on them, the idea of the boards was to sell cases. So if you want to buy a complete system with it in, then get in touch with me and I'll sell you one. As I said, I sold one today. That's that. Now another thing is, do you know what? That's not even for that. Yeah, okay, so that's the Mystics board sorted. So again, now I suppose I should say that no more Mystics boards for a while. Trying to decide what we're going to be doing with the Mystics board, and I'm hoping we've kind of got it all agreed. It's kind of in progress. It's to do a the same board, but a reduced cost version, not cost reduced, a reduced cost version, sometime next year. Because these were all handmade by Edu. Well, 50-50 actually, handmade by Edu. And so it's a lot of love and blood. No blood. There's a lot of love gone into that. And he's very Latin. The love he puts into these boards, it's worth the money. I mean, it's worth the money. But what we're trying to do is make them more mass produced. I can just order, get a month later, have a whole load delivered, and get the costs down. So potentially, unless the market floods, then we'll probably do one of them next year. So in the meantime, what I decided to do was do a fitting kit, a low cost fitting kit. Now this harks back to something that Alexi said. Why not just do it with cables? Well, you know what? That's a lot nicer, isn't it, than just a bunch of cables. Trust me, it's a lot nicer. However, here's a bunch of cables. So what I've done is, you can see I have this pack called the Garlic Pack. Yes, it's a Mickey take of the vampire, but done with love, right? But the idea is this frame here is slightly different. And the idea is, depending on how you buy it, because I'm actually doing it now with just the frame and the HDMI cable, or the frame and just the cables. But if you buy it in the Garlic Pack, which the Garlic Pack is basically the idea of the garlic. If you haven't cottoned onto it, it basically means you might not get bitten by the vampire. But if you buy it with the Garlic Pack, what you do is what you get is, you don't get the D10 or the memory or anything like that. But what you do get is you get this frame, all these cables, and you get the USB hub. I don't know if you can see that in there. USB hub. You see there's a little cable here to connect it to the D10 Nano. So all you do is you screw your D10 Nano in here, you've probably seen the pictures of this, and if you want the analog board on top, then everything is on the back. So you can see there's 5 external USBs. Potentially you still got room for, you've got down here you can put more, and over the left hand side, because if you get a deluxe pack you get one of these, and you'll notice there that's actually a USB cutout as well, so you can add loads, and you can still connect inside, because how many is on there? 1, 2, there's 8. I think it's 7 or 8 USBs on this. So it's and in fact it's the machine you're looking at here, this one here, that's actually running on the new kit. It's no difference, okay, but I'm trying to make it so we get the cost down. And it's actually meant that we can do for $299 plus VAT and your local taxes. You just plop in a D10 Nano and some memory, and away you go. So that's that. Now, one thing, someone actually, I have shipped a few out, and I also ship them at the moment. As you can, if you see on this advert here. Yeah, I'm going to come to the questions. I'll come to the questions shortly because I want to go through this. You'll see here that I've got about 50 or 60 packs of sets of licenses. So I thought, well, I'll just throw them in. Coming up to the end of the year, you'll basically get the full software pack and the SD card and everything if you order it after they've run out, or say by the end of the year, because I can always top them up and order more. But in the new year, I'll probably change. And so we'll see how it goes. I really don't know yet, but the idea is that you've got this nice machine you can build. Right, yeah, there was a thing about standoffs. Someone mentioned about I didn't supply any standoffs for lifting. If you can see on this picture below me, yeah, if you see that picture below me, you can see that the D10 sits up on standoffs, and I didn't supply them. Well, the reason is because when you buy your D10 Nano, it actually does come with, sorry, bear with me. If you get one of these packs, oh, well done, Steve. If you get one of these packs, it comes with these. Yeah, it screws the whole thing together. So all you got to do is take these standoffs off, screw them into mine, pop it on the top. Okay, now what that allows you to do is get your USB cables to go underneath the D10 and come round underneath, okay? So yes, it's not an issue as long as you've got one of the packs and you've still got this with all the screws on it. And I've checked it and it works. So that's just a point to be aware of. Yes, someone also mentioned the HDMI cable wasn't long enough. I plugged it in and it works fine, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. The HDMI, as you can see, goes down here. You've got your RJ45 here, HDMI here, and then there's your analog RGB. So you need that board. If you can see this board just here, you need the analog board on top, and then these cables. So you've got your stereo audio and the RGB. Also important to understand, there's a switch on the D10 you have to flick to enable the analog audio. Right, another point. It's been mentioned that the serial I/O doesn't seem to be working. Now, admittedly on my one it was working fine, so again I think he's made a subtle change. I'm not quite sure why he did this, he must have had a reason. But I'm going to show you, I'm going to switch screen, hang on again, I might pop that to there, go to here. Can you see, so hopefully you can see this picture. On this little board, if you can see these pads, okay, you have to short between those two pads, that enables it to work. Now, the obvious question has been asked, why not put jumpers on it? Well, now knowing it's on here, maybe it was going to be in the way of I'm not sure, that he must have had a reason for not putting headers on it, but if you want it, just short it with a bit of solder, and then your serial I/O will work. Okay, I know that has been mentioned. Right, okay, right, now, so I tell you, let me just jump into some questions, see what we've got here. Oh, okay, right. I'm gonna go for the question. This is the good thing. So if you put questions at the front, I'm going to go through and answer them all. I promise you I will go through them. But I do want to kind of rattle through this stuff. So what was the next thing? Yes, now someone's on here, okay, who you recognise. Now you're probably going to be thinking, Steve, you're an idiot. Why are you mentioning this book? Well, there's a very good reason, and I'll tell you why. My aim is to create a retro computer system that people can either so that it's, you know, like a full-blown PC can do anything you want to do on it, or a retro machine with FPGA or a Pi or something like that to give you the experience. If you've got one of these nice keyboards that I sell, then you can use it. However, some people want to play games. Well, probably a lot of people want to play games. My case is a little bit expensive. I mean, I've got some better pricing. Well, it's not really. It's just kind of fitting kits a bit cheaper. So buy one of my basic cases and then get the lower cost fitting kits. But you might just want to play games. So Neil very kindly sent me. Yeah, I know Neil. It's sitting in the box. I am sorry. I will get round to it. But wanted to show people like this anyway. You might have seen this. Okay, and this is from Neil. Okay, this is from RMC The Cave. It's RMC. Don't want to say what it's actually RMC stands for now because it's kind of. Anyway, Retro Man Cave. Okay, but yeah, you understand. This is their board, and what it does, it goes in. Well, it doesn't have to go in. Well, I've got the boxes over there to put it in, but as you can see, it's a really nicely designed board that you then fit your DE10 Nano on it. It connects up on here, but it's actually got the RAM on board, so you actually get the RAM included, and you can snap it if you wanted to. You can snap it out later and replace it. God knows why you'd ever want to do that. But that is a beautiful board. I really like it. So my thought was, why don't we just stick this in my case? And so they kindly sent it to me, and I've had a good look at it. I've had a chat with them. It's not really going to go in my case. Physically, it would. I mean, we could physically fit it. No problem fitting it, and we can make the ports at the back, right? The issues you've got is you've got all these ports on the front, which you'd have to put on the back. There's switches on here. There's the audio. Well, the audio is reproduced on the back and the front, funny enough. The killer is also the SCART. Again, I could put an extender. But the killer is getting power onto it. Because obviously, as you can see with all the boards that we have, they're designed to go in mini ITX. So this is an Amiga, and you can see it's got the big power socket at the bottom. This doesn't have anything like it. It doesn't even have a 5 volt. Now, I've had a really great discussion with them, and potentially down the road they may do one. But I think this is really what it's really good for. Is if you really. Now I'm not saying you're not saying you can't do computers. Christ, no, of course you can. Yeah, you do anything you like with this. Plug a keyboard, plug a mouse in, away you go. But for putting it in my case, I just it's not in this form factor. It's not ideal. You're going to waste a lot of it. You're not got access to anything internally, that kind of thing. You won't be able to put these snapping cartridges. I don't think it's viable for my case. But I did want to mention it because if you're because I do get people ask, I just want to play games. Don't waste the money on a case. It's for specific people. All right. So yeah, but that's a wonderful board. In fact, Neil, if you're there, stick your link on the chat so people can go to it. I can't recommend it highly enough, except probably better off buying mine. No. If you want to play games and you want to do it, but this is a lovely board. Really, really nice board. Okay. And I'll show you and then we'll get on to my products again. But is this one? Yeah, so there's a couple of these cases, really nice cases, so you can put them in. There's also another one. There's another one here which has the SCART. So you can see at the top you've got the SCART. Can you see here the SCART output? So yeah, they put a lot of effort into that. a really nice product. And the board, I mean, you can't tell from where you are, but the board quality is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Anyway, enough advertising other people's products, Neil. Right. Okay. Yeah, I've mentioned Neil's product. Right. Okay. Second SD card port. Right. This crops up a lot. On the Mystics board, there is a secondary SD card slot here, and people think you can use it on the Amiga. You can't. It's for some, well, not at the moment you can't, as far as I'm aware. It's for certain games where you use it's the secondary one. That's what it's for. So for the Amiga side, and again, I'm selling this mostly for Amiga fans, but it's you don't get that. Okay. Right, let's put that over there. Right. Now, what I want to do is I quickly want to show you now. Advert time. If you're thinking of buying one, but you think it's expensive, it's not. I decided. So if you want, you can get the garlic pack and put it. All comes. It's all set up ready to go. But if you want a budget and you want to do this in a cheaper way, what you can do is you can buy one of these. I've decided to do these. Continue doing these cases, the basic ones. So 100. Now, bear in mind, all the prices I'm going to quote plus VAT. Really important. If you buy it from abroad, it will come and you'll have to pay your tax. Now, the reality is when it arrives, everyone moans about this, but I can't do anything about it. The couriers, and they all do it, will charge probably £12 to £15 handling charge. It's really annoying, bugs the hell out of me, and it won't make any difference to you, but I can tell you now, if they handle $10,000, $5,000 or something like that, it's still only 12 quid. Why they do that on small value, I don't know. But anyway, they will add that on. But you can see we've got the the two white, the white basic and the black and the white. They're $159. So if you then go to products, mount kits, and if we're talking about the Mystics at the moment, you can see I've got lots of mounting kits. So this one here now, it shows a complete system. Okay, basically you see there's one. Now this is not the full one that you get in the garlic pack. The garlic pack's got a ton of stuff in it, right? What is in the garlic pack? What you get is basically this entire set here. Let me show that again. All of that with all the cables, and you also get the power. Well, let's go this. You get the ATX adapter board, which has got this with two power leads that plugs into both boards, which means you can also then do your power switch and your power LED. No hard drive LED at the moment. And this is the garlic pack, right? And you get one of my power supplies. What a story with these power supplies, but they are really nice, and they do have my logo on the side, which I was really chuffed about. These are lovely, completely and utterly overkill for the Pi and for that. So what you can do is you can buy this pack here and then use an external power supply. Yeah, you need to get your own. I don't include the USB hub, but it tells you what's in it. Now this one down here, which is 19 quid, is the metal frame and just the HDMI. Someone actually asked for that. I thought it might be quite useful. So you just literally get the frame and the HDMI. Now the only problem at the moment is my shipping is really expensive. Sorry about that, but it's just the way it is. So if you're just buying that, it's going to be quite expensive. Now, if enough people are interested, what I might do is speak to, for example, the Mr. FPGA. I'll have a word with Nat, see if he wants to stock just the frame. Have I got a black frame here somewhere without all the bits in it? Yeah, so maybe he can stock this frame, because that's all you basically need to put it in, one of his boards in, and build the system, and then just slap it in. Slap, wrong word. But you'd need to use an external power supply. So that's an option if you want to get up and running cheaply. So theoretically, if you've got one of your green packs, you want to take it apart, put it in, you can buy this really cheap one. I'd go for this one because of all that. You get a ton of extra cables. Trust me, it's really worth the extra 20 quid because there's a whole load of cables you're getting in there. So I'm looking over it. There's a whole load of cables you're getting in it, which you would have to pay usually between £3 and £5 each to get panel mounts, but I supply more. So I would go for the £39 one if you're thinking of doing this. Right? but it gives you the options. Right, so that's that. Buy basic case, mouse experiment. Oh, okay, mouse experiment. That's really easy. Look, I'm experimenting with mice. See, I've got my logo on it. Put my brand, company brand on it. Playing with mice at the moment, just to see. Right. Okay, yeah. So keyboard. I'm coming back to the questions. How many questions have we got in there? Okay. Right. Really weird. My keyboard case. You probably know I make. Sorry, it's nothing for I do these really. I like them. Okay, it's flashing. The lights are pulsing. Let's go back to here again. Oh, camera's gone. Hold up. Sorry, it just turns off after half an hour. Okay, right. So I do these keyboards, and I do them a white keyboard and I do a black keyboard. You've probably seen the pictures. In fact, again, I've got an advert on here. Let me just grab keyboard parts. Hang on. So there's one. Now I'm showing the one with the white and beige keycaps because it actually looks really good with the case. So I've said to people, if you're going to buy one of the little cases, the mini cases, buy one with the white and beige rather than the white and grey, because the white and grey just don't look quite as good as you can see. Well, no, they look good, but they don't look as good with the case. Yeah, and you can turn the colour, you can change them and turn them off. The RGB, it's all RGB. So now at the moment I've done a special price with that because I've got, now you'll notice it's not on the black one because I've only got 10 left, but I've got about 60 of these in stock. So I thought, well, let's just sell them off, you know. So I've got them £59. This is saving about £15, something like that. With the, if you want the black and white ones, just let me know, and I'll either add another order or we'll just put it on note on the system. But they are really nice and they go great with the cases. And the people who've got them really like the switches because they're cherry red clones. But I really like them. So right, so that's that. Let's go back to here. Why is it called Mini? People have been saying to me, why is it called the Mini? It's not very small. If you look at it next to the 2000, it's tiny. Mini ITX is the reason why it's called Mini. So that's the reason for it being called that. But I thought I'd show that because it's obviously less than half the size. Probably about a third of the volume of the 2000. So, which, to be fair, was quite big. Right. I've already done that one, so we don't need to worry about that one. So let's get rid of that. Put that up there. Right. I think what I'll do now is I'll go through a few questions because I've got a couple of other points I'm going to go through now, but they can wait till later on. So right, let's go through. Let's see what questions we got. Right. Is there detailed documentation on the Amiga how to flash update? Okay, right. So Joe Tyson, is there any detailed documentation on the Amiga how to flash update, build new, updated? Okay, all that. Yeah. So there is some. Edu's done this because it's quite a big project to Edu. It's not just about mine. One of the reasons I like the Amiga is it's a project. It's about 4 different boards, including this one. No, oh, it's reflecting. So you got this one, okay, as well as mine, but it's also others as well. But these are the 2 key ones because these are the new ones. There is documentation that Edu's done. What I suggest you do is email me. Now, just to be clear, now that I've kind of shut everything down and I've got time to do this stuff, I'm going to be doing probably a special on it because I've got 20 more. And the funny thing is the Mystics just sold out completely, and I get it because it's D10 Nano and it is actually really good. But I really like this board. It's not quite as fast as the D10 Nano, and it's the D10 Nano's not really got networking, but you've got a shared folder so you can FTP into it now. This has got this thing on here, which is a serial network, and it's a sod to set up. And there is tutorials out there, but I'm hoping to do some more on this to get people up and running this. But I really like this, and I was actually surprised that I think I sold 29, and I've got 20 left. And so I'm not just selling the boards off. The idea was to sell them complete systems. I'm going to be doing a nice pack for this in the coming couple of weeks, something like that. But I'm going to be doing also getting back into the Amiga again and going through it, because to really show what it's capable of, and things like you've mentioned there, flashing it and that kind of thing. Edu has covered this. He does have documentation on this. It is available, but it's probably because I have not, either I've not sent it, you've not seen it, or because it might be on the Kickstarter page. I might put it up there, I'm not 100% sure. But I will be doing it. Just email me and nag me about it, because I do intend doing more. Now, at the moment, because it's sold so few, I'm loath to start buying more, obviously. But I do like the Mystics. It's very expensive to make, and I want to see if we can get the cost down to make it, more economic. So I will probably do the packs. I'll probably do them at a little bit of a loss on this, because I make the money on the case and the other bits. And because I do, and what I like about this is you switch it on. It's Amiga. It's it. I mean, you can flash it to be a Commodore 64, and I think it will do the Spectrum next and stuff like that. And you can set it for multi-boot, so a bit like the D10, where you boot in and you just decide what you want to run. But I've had these flashed as Amiga. It boots. There's a spinning boing ball. It appears. I just love it, and it is really nice, and it's a lovely little performance as well. So I think this is a really, really nice board. One little thing that we did change, it did change actually. My one in the prototype in there is pretty much identical to this. The only thing was, and I agreed to this, so I'm completely guilty here, but this had PS2 ports originally instead of these. PS2 keyboard and mouse. And I actually really like the PS2 keyboard and mouse. Because it's easy to understand. You put a PS2 keyboard and mouse in it. The problem is that what Edu decided to do on this and the other one was to put USB on. Now I understand why he did it, but it can confuse people, because they instantly see USB and go, wow, we could put USB, and they start putting storage drives and that kind of thing. No, it's not like that. The idea was that you can put like certain USB keyboards in certain mice, but the problem is they have to be PS2 compliant for the firmware, because it's firmware, not a USB system, not full-blown USB stack. So it's from the point of view of the board itself, it's really useful, because you can plug lots of, like for example, gamepads, but the gamepads have to be programmed in the firmware. So and you've got two joyports. You can just put Atari controllers in there. So I actually preferred it with the PS2s on it, purely from a point of saying it's PS2 keyboard and mouse. Now, what that meant was, here's the irony, okay? I bought a ton of really low cost keyboard and mouse packs and some nicer Cherry keyboards. You can see one over here on top of the 2000. To plug in, I got 60 or 70 of these things. My idea was to sell them for £10, £12, something like that. The funny thing was that because it was USB, it was only support PS2. So I ended up using the same keyboards, and everyone who's bought one of these, everyone gets a USB keyboard and mouse pack. Everyone gets a Nintendo game controller, because specific one that's supported. So you've got a controller. You can still plug in the joy ports, but everyone gets that, because I thought I'll just give everyone one and it'd be fine. And so, but yeah, it's a minor little thing. I like the PS2 because it was a lot simpler to explain. But you now have to have that discussion. But yeah, so I will do some more stuff on that in the next week or two. Something probably won't be next week. Probably the week after we'll do something on it. That was quite a lot there for just one question. Let's go through some more. Right, Starius. Question. I know the solution to the MT32 Pi issue is now getting passed around online, but could you perhaps make a video diagram show where to bridge the two solder points? I have actually just shown this. I'll show it again. It's there, and on the board it's literally these little pads here. Yeah, it's these little pads, okay? You just have to short them. Yeah, just short them, okay? And that's it. But again, this is another thing I was going to cover with, because now I've actually got some time, I will cover this. And I'll do some tests and show it, because my one actually, the original one, supports it, because he hadn't put that on my final prototype. Again, a tweak I wasn't aware of. So, yeah, so I will cover that. Right, let's go back to here. Alright, Joe again. How do we set up, enable, use the Wi-Fi module? God, yeah. I think I've already mentioned this again. I am going to do something on this. You've got to be a rocket scientist, and you've got to stand on your head, balance one hand with a finger like that. But it works, right? That's the whole point of this. That it will... Right, I'll be honest. To me, I see this because one of the reasons everyone who's getting these gets a full Amiga Forever pack. So what you can do with that is take a card out, put it in the thing, plug it into Windows, mount it onto Windows Amiga Forever, do all your changes, take it out, shove it back. That's really the concept of this. But what I wanted was to have that. That's why I made sure he put every single, because he wasn't going to put this on. Every single one of these has got one of these little boards, okay? But they're a bugger to set up. Alright? So, I will do it. It has been some stuff online about it, but it is a bit of a sort of setup. But I haven't done it because I just haven't had time. But I do want to get mine online. Now, it's important. This is quite slow. This is only like high-speed serial port speed. But for things like Wookiee Chat, that kind of stuff, or very small FTP it'll be fine for that. But it's not a networking card, nor is the Mystics, okay? Neither of them are networking cards. But the good thing with Mystics is you've got, although you can't see it on mine here, the share, I set up a share folder on the cards I've shipped. I set up a share folder, and you can drop stuff into it, and you can access it from other machines. Question. This is from R16850. Can you just tell me about that keyboard? Maybe I missed the video. Is it USB, etc.? Keycaps are Amiga. Thanks. Right, yeah, let's go back to this. Right. Interesting. I didn't actually mention this, but this keyboard, the firmware for the Amiga, this works. Okay? So you can use this. It's one of the few you can, but I sent them one, and they sorted the firmware. So my keyboards are supported, which I was really pleased about. Get yourself the mouse actually in the pack you get with if you buy it, the keyboard and the mouse is actually quite nice. It's not an Amiga mouse, but it's quite a nice little mouse. If you get that and use this, you could buy one of these. I mean, that really makes a lovely system. And again, I'll cover this in a couple of weeks. But this is not. This is it was very simple with this. So if you see the keycaps, they are. I spent a lot of okay. Let me get a name right. Oh, come on. Always do this. Hang on. I always forget the name of the lady that did the keycaps. It'll pop up. She's involved in the Renee Cousins. She designed a really nice set of keycaps to go with the ANSI keyboards. And I think she's in for ISO and ANSI, one, two. And so I asked her if I could, for permission to be able to reproduce keycaps. Now the idea was simple. For £29, to make a set of keycaps that would fit on any Cherry MX compatible switch with the cross. It's got one of those crosses on the top. These will connect to it. It won't go on Amigas, it won't go anything like that. It's just meant to make your keyboard look good. So you can buy the keycaps alone. And people do it all the time. They put them on all these different kinds of keyboards. You can put them on little ones so you can slide under the case. So you've got these nice keycaps, and they are nice. Unfortunately, they're not ISO. It's the only real thing. It's a pain. And I haven't got multi-language because obviously I'm not having all that stuff. I'll just go bust. But the ISO thing was annoying. But that was down to the fact that I tried 3 different suppliers to manufacture these keycaps, and only one of them made really nice quality, but they didn't do ISO. The others did ISO, but they looked rubbish. So I stuck with the ones that went ANSI. Most people don't mind. I mean, to be honest, and also the keyboards, this little jog dial, people either hate or love. Okay, I love it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. You can, on the Amiga, and no, not on the Amiga, on the Mystics and the Pi, it will control the volume, start, stop stuff. It's really useful. But yeah, so the keycaps, they're on my site. You can go and find them. But they make a lovely job. It doesn't matter what keyboard, as long as it's Cherry MX, you can make a nice keyboard. Now, the keyboard was the idea of that was to have a keyboard that I could sell complete. I found this really nice one. It's not expensive. It has Cherry clone switches. The clone, very important to understand, but they're not far off. Now I know the difference because I've got the Cherry keyboard here. These are not as good as that, but this is half the price of that. So, everyone who's tried it loves them. I'm quite. I think it's a good balance between price and looks and functionality. So I'm really pleased with it, but it's not for everyone. Right, so okay, plug in the competition. Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, I don't mind doing that. Right, some of the front ports could be. Yeah, okay. So let's look for another one that's got a question. Oh, hey, look. Oh, hang on. Here we go. So another one. Well, right, so R16, 815. Name would be good. Okay, yeah, I just seen that. Yeah, you forgot to mention the Garlic Pack has the SD card extender too. It's really true, yeah, because I messed up completely with the Mystics. Again, I apologise for that. No end. My kits, you can put that in there, and I do. If you buy a deluxe pack, if you're buying if you're buying if you're buying the Garlic Pack, which Henri bought, yes, I do chuck one of these in it, and you get this with the plate, and you can put that in the back, and you can plug it in. It does work. I'm sorry about the Mystics, but it's just something. Even if we spotted it, you couldn't have had it because of the way we connect to the board with the. It's just too tight. Will you be showing this off more and drinking Guinness at Amiga Island? Do you know what? I'd love to go to Amiga Island. Well, firstly, I don't know where it is. I am doing. I'm doing the one at Norwich. Norwich? Yeah, Norwich. OLL 22. I've got a big stand there in the UK to the right. I'll be doing I've got a big stand there, so I'm going to have all these machines, all these different types of machines. They're going to be out, and you can come play with keyboards and etc. etc. Yeah, that's now as far as I'd love to go to Amiga Island. I'd like to probably just bring one system with me. I doubt if I'll bring much, but I don't like being away from my wife and little boy much these days. I know it might be a bit sad, but I've got a little 2-year-old, so I don't like being away. But I if it's like a couple of days, I'll be alright. I'll probably crying into my beer because I got. So Island 1, I'd love to go to the Island 1. I really would, to be fair. Right. You've got, I don't know. I'd like to get Amiga OS 3.2 on my own Amiga. Yeah, Joe. Yes. Something I did an upgrade. So because they come with 3, I'm not doing the upgrades anymore. I've got 5 of them left. Just go and buy it. It was only because it come out, and I include the 314. The only reason I include the 314 is because my distro that I created, which you can see on here, the only reason I included it was and I don't even think this actually matters but it's built with oh god, I forgot what it's called, PFS, right? I don't think you need the new one for that, but more importantly, when you change the resolution of the screen, it tells you to test it first, right, on the 314, and I really like that because the amount of times you've done it. And I won't ship anything with FFS, obviously. I could have done it SFS, but PFS was pretty good. So, that was basically the reason of including that. And plus the fact it was a way of supporting both Hyperion and Cliento. You know, some people kind of weren't too happy about it, but no, you know, sort things out, or I support both. Right, so yes. Anyway, if I go to Amiga Island, I love Guineas. I assume all the keyboards are QWERTY. Yes, yeah, of course. I need to run, but which will catch the replay. US, yes, they are US layout. That's the keycaps. It's purely because I had to. I couldn't. Because I've got 3 colour sets. It cost a fortune buying them in. I've got a load still stacked. So I'm like, oh, let's, you know. To do that with like multiple countries, I just couldn't do it. Would have wiped me out. Chris, yeah, thank you. Yeah, because it's did it needed as a vampire? Keycap. Yeah. I'm not sure if you're saying is Vampire V4 friendly. Oh no, this is the keycaps. Anyway, I'm not sure if it works with the Vampire. Right, so what else are we going to cover? Yeah, okay, so right, let's I've already mentioned an Amiga. So let me move that up. Right, Siamese system. I don't know how many of you remember it. If you see, right, so if you look at my, there was a reason for actually doing this. Now, if you'll know, I'm gonna turn me off, and I'm gonna go into full screen. Right. So, one thing I really like, I've got Morphos here. Morphos supports a thing called Synergy, which allows me with my, I'm using my Mac, and it allows me to control 3 different computers, which I'm used to doing with 1 keyboard and mouse. But this is, Morphos does it as well, so you can see the cursor moving. And I'm using my, I use one of my keyboard and mice. But you can see I'm using the same keyboard and mouse now. That's what Siamese did many years ago. But you'll notice if you look at the 2 screens there, basically what I've got now, all of what you're, no, actually that's not true, let me switch. That screen that you're looking on the right, this one is my Mystics, which you can see in the little white mini. If I press that, that will now switch over to, that's my 2000. So my 2000 here it's pretty beefy. Now I have a 3000 with a video toaster in it, which I really like. One day I'll do another video on that. But what I did with this one is I've got in there. So if I switch in now, you can see I've got here Movie Studio. If you now watch that down the bottom on the bottom right hand corner. So basically, what I've got in this 2000. I mean, it's just for playing. I don't use this obviously professionally, but it's got the I forgot what it's called now. I always forget. Macro Systems. Is VLab Motion? Yeah, VLab Motion. And I also do have the audio card, but it's not working at the moment, so I've got to get that working. But the key point here is that I just have it playing with, and I've got that in there. But also, I managed to get hold of, I think I mentioned it before, I managed to get hold of one of these PC Pentium single board computers that will plug into the, it goes into the 8-bit ISA slot on the inside the 2000. You'll notice I've got a Samsung, I've got an IDE drive which is connected to that Pentium. But if I grab this mouse, Linux, okay, so I've got on here Linux running in the same box. Now at the moment, there you go. So I mean, it's Linux. I mean, you know, it's not Windows. To be honest, I'm sick of Windows. I got sick of Windows a long time ago, but it's Linux and it works really nice. Actually, I've got 2 gig of RAM and it's a 1.5 gigahertz Pentium. Absolutely flies. and it's all in one box, and I've got them FTP in between each other. It's networked, both machines are networked. I can get on the internet, do whatever I want on both the machines. It's a single machine. But you notice I've got this keyboard, I've got 2 mice and 2 keyboards. Okay, now that doesn't mean really much to yourself, but you probably maybe. Let me switch back to this mode again. You'll probably it's finished now. Let me run that again because it's quite nice. There you go. So has anyone noticed? Has anyone noticed my 2000 keyboard? Anyone spotted this? Right, it's really special. Right, the clue is the gap here, and the red's there. It's got cherry red switches in it. It cost me nearly 200 quid. I managed to win this bid, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And it's got these cherry switches. It's such a beautiful keyboard. Now, to the point. What I'm trying to do is, and this was actually the plan right from the beginning, was at some point, as you know, I do this. I have. I've got a new name for it. I call it the Van Helsing Pack. Okay, because basically it kills a vampire. So I've got this with a Pi 4, and you see I've got this little adapter board, and it's added with one of my controller boards. So you pop that into there, yeah, and you got one of my little adapter boards, and my power supply controls it and everything. However, if you've got something like the Amiga, or for example you've got one of my Plus cases with an actual Amiga in it, it would be really nice to be able to shove this in. Okay, so what we're doing at the moment is I've already ordered the cables. Now this board is going, okay, because it's not enough room, but I've ordered some cables so that you can plug into here. We're having if you see this little one here, there's a new version of this coming. You probably know this goes into the utility socket. I don't know, never really give it a name, but it's a big opening at the back of the case. All the cases have it. On the minis it's under the power supply, on the pluses it's in the middle by the fans usually, not always. But the idea is so that you'll be able to put the Pi in there, connect it, plug it in, and have both the Amiga, either real Amiga or FPGA Amiga or Pi, well not Pi obviously, but have a Pi in it as well. Okay, so that's one bit. That means you've got 2 systems in one. Right, now software. 3 years ago, Alistair, I'm not looking at the camera, sorry, I was looking at myself, I don't know. 3 years ago, Alistair Robinson wrote some software for me. It's called Conjoined, something like that, because we didn't like the Siamese name anymore. And he finished it because the deal was I'll give him one of the cases. We finished the software. He finished the software a couple of years ago, but never had time to get around to using it. So the plan is to basically create what you can see on the left with a Linux machine. I mean, this will beat that Pentium anyway, right? The Linux machine and the Amiga, using a single keyboard, mouse, etc. Now, it also means for me, if you've actually got one of these machines that you can with a Pentium, apparently it says it will compile. I tried compiling, I tried making it, and it wasn't happy, so I've got to look into it. But the key thing is that to get it going on the Pi. And he's obviously got this all working, so he will use the keyboard and mouse and control both. So when you're on one, it doesn't affect the other. Do you see? So it's Siamese. So that's going to be something I'm going to put a little bit more effort into now because I want to actually get that going. I always said the software would be free, and the software will be free. The hardware is different thing entirely because obviously you probably what you'll need is you'll need a new one of these and my cables. I don't know what it'd be, probably 29 quid or something like that with the right cables because this board just doesn't fit. Now, keep the cost. Apparently, it's going to be an interesting one because because obviously you'll have this at the back. You can plug it in and power it. But of course, you've got this big beefy power supply. You can power them both. But you might not want to. You might want to keep them separate because obviously, if you just turn the power off, this won't like it. So so there's always that problem with the Pi anyway, shutting it down. But yeah, so going to be playing with that concept again soon. So that's one of the things that we're going to be doing. Any more questions? No, right, okay. So I suppose now we'll talk about a new project. How many people are sitting on it? Yeah, 36. Right. So as far as I'm concerned, you lot have just joined the secret projects. Now, what I'm going to ask, what I'm going to tell you now, you don't look. If you tell people, and if it causes me a lot of grief, I'll just can the project. Bear with me. Two little projects. The first one, yeah, doesn't really matter. You probably know I sell these keyboard cases. Let me load one of these up and show you keyboard parts. You probably know I do these keyboard cases. And it really shocked, I'll come back to your question in a minute, Maria. It really shocked me how many people wanted these. Everyone who wanted to build a 1200 and a 500, nearly all of them, not all of them, nearly all of them wanted to build it. And we sell them to people who haven't even bought a case. So, again, I'm looking here. Let me move this over here so I'm actually looking more at the camera. Okay, funny about that. It was always to me this keyboard case was. I'm not going to say it's a stopgap, but the original 1500 had a metal case, and with metal you can't do anything nice with it. You just really can't. And so it serves people. Funnily enough, because it's made out of aluminium, it's very light. It's still very strong. It's very light, and they're powder coated, so they are nice quality. But it's bent metal. But people seem really pleased, and I've actually run out, and I've got to get more in. But people are very pleased with them, so I'm going to continue making these, right? However, then this is not promised. What this is what I want. I've wanted to do this for a long time, but I've been busy, obviously. But what I want is, I want to remake this. Now, the 3000 case. I think it's pretty obvious why. Because, well, obviously my case looks like a 3000. Now, how am I going to do this? Right, first thing to get out of the way. My plan is to make some keyboard case molds. I don't know how long it's going to take. It might be a year. I don't know how long it's going to take. So there's no promising. But the plan is to, and it will be a Kickstarter because it's going to cost 15-20 grand to make these. Okay. Because the keyboard you're looking at on there, right, is designed that it would take 500. In fact, all the 500 and the 1200 and the 2000 and 3000 keyboards all have the same keyboard layout, so they all work with that. It can be sometimes a bit tricky to fit putting a 2000 keyboard in would be quite tricky, but in theory it would go in, and we can make it fit. Actually, the 2000. Actually, in that case, it'd be easy. But what I want is a USB Amiga keyboard, looks like this, and as close, not going to be perfect, as close as I can get to this. Now, as you're probably aware, the A1200.net guys are working on a keyboard mechanism, but they're not making a case, and they're making their keyboard mechanism to work with my keyboard case, as well as going in a 1200, going in a 500. So the idea is that my case will support their keyboards. I'm not, well, okay, so I'm talking about case at the moment, right? So that's will support their keyboards. Now I think we all probably understand that I don't want to do this relying on no disrespect, but I don't want to do this relying on someone else supplying a keyboard mechanism that I can't get. So I'm at the moment discussing with keyboard manufacturers about making a USB version of this as close. It will be the physical dimensions and everything will be the, where the keys will go, as close as I can get to this. All right. You may find it subtly different, but it will still go in this case, and it will go. Probably it's designed to be like the actual 3000, 2000 keyboard mechanism replacement, because it's very hard to. I'm not expecting to put these into 500s and 1200s, right? However, you can if you want to. If you've got an old case, you can trim it because basically it will sit about a millimetre too high. And that's the only problem. But of course it's USB. This is not going to plug into a 500 motherboard, 1200 motherboard. I'm never doing that. I'm not interested. I'm making a USB keyboard. But if you've got like a Pi, or you've got a Mystics, or you've got something that has a USB keyboard input, you're laughing. You plug it inside and away you go. So that's the plan. That's kind of what I'm thinking of doing. I want one of these because I think they're lovely, and it's going to match the colour of my case. Obviously, it's going to get as closer to this design as possible. Okay, well, there's no big deal actually matching the design. And if the A1200 Net guys come along, they got loads of cases, no problem with supply. Then I may not make my own keyboards, but I know they're using Mitsumi switches. I'm not a fan, and I'm making mine actual cherry. But the key thing at the moment is the cost. It's the cost that could be the killer. So you'll probably hear more about that. No, there's no point in me doing a 10 keyless one because you can buy them and just use my keycaps. They never made a 10 keyless version of this. So you can already buy 10 keyless keyboards, and I've done the keycaps for that. But yeah, so that's something that, as I've said, I was thinking of doing. But again, a lot of this depends. Right, I'm gonna one little thing. Let's talk about. I'll come back to your question in a second, Mara. My Patreons. My Patreons. It's an interesting one because they're really important, and I try it. The way I explain it like this: all this experimenting costs a load of money. It really does. Now, when I'm doing the Kickstarter, it's fine because you have a mount selling. You use a massive, big, instant sale. As long as you do your maps well, you know how much money you got left, and you can spend some money. But when you're building and you're experimenting and playing, it all costs money. I mean, it really costs a lot of money. So, patrons to me are really important. So the more patrons I can get, the more I can do. And the keyboard is a good example of this. I'm about to spend probably getting on for nearly £500 to £1,000 just to experiment, to get them. Because I've got a company that's said they're going to do it. Going to send them a keyboard, the Amiga keyboard. Can you make one like this in this footprint with these keys in this positions, etc. USB, RGB lit, all that kind of stuff. Really modern, but an Amiga keyboard and an Amiga case looks just like it. And in theory, I'll make sure it's PS2 compliant. In theory, you could actually put an adapter and plug it into a 2000 or a 3000 or 4000. That's my aim. So that's what I'm planning, because I want to have an Amiga, the full thing. Let's answer Mario's question here. How you want to solve the multiple monitor issue that would be much cleaner setup with one monitor? It's funny you should mention the monitors. Now this is the bit. There's 34 people. I don't know if that actually is true. 34 people. One person disliked it. Now we get to the secret project. The keyboard's not. The keyboard's something I do want to do, and it'll be next year. But I am working on a secret project. So the secret project. Now you have to use. Right. This is what it is. Now I know that some people are going to. Now I'm going to ask you this. I have a Discord. Okay. And I have this Discord, as you can see, and I have a private project. Okay, and if you want to join, you can join my Discord, and you can join this chat. So there's not many people watching now, and what I'd like is you don't tell anyone, keep it quiet. Because I'm trying to get, it's really bad feedback. So what I'm making is, I'm kind of in the process, some way into the process actually, of making a retro-inspired 4:3 aspect ratio IPS monitor, but it's custom made for retro machines. So I can't go into an awful lot of details, but to give you an idea, now, I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details on this, but the idea is so that if you've got a composite input, you want to plug it in, it's got composite input. If you want a component, you plug in component. If you've got VGA, you can plug the VGA in. If you've got, for example, HDMI, it's got HDMI in. It's got all the bits you need. But also it's going to have the ability to actually put into it a Raspberry Pi in it, or a D10 Nano in it, and actually make a complete computer. Now I'm not expecting people to do that, but the plan is, it's not your skinny monitor. The idea is you stick it on your retro machine and it looks good. So let's show you something first of all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. Now, this is not anywhere near finished design. Do not judge the design based on what I'm about to show you. This is work in progress, rubbish, just concepts, okay? And I'm going to redesign this again. I think this is the third one, but I'm going to redesign it again. But I'm going to go and get it made, and then you'll see this. SCART, yeah, of course, obviously SCART. You want SCART in there as well. So we're thinking composite, component, VGA, SCART, all those kind of things. But more importantly, it's got to run well with them. So I'm going to play this and going to talk you through it. Now, again, do not think this is the finished version, because it's going to look nothing like this. It's just to give you the idea. Now watch in a second when it turns, and yes, the base is oval. Just ignore that. It won't be oval. It'll be round. I'm just experimenting. But if you watch what happens here, okay. So the idea here is, now as you can see at the moment, it kind of looks like I've got a 1084 and gone like that. And that's the idea, is when you stick this on a computer, then it looks good. But that massive, great big hole in the back is for a reason. It's actually there for a reason. Because at the back, you can't see it on this drawing. But if you, on that big rectangle at the back, there'll be holes, and I'm calling them pods. And one of the pods, hang on a second. of the pods holds this, which is the controller board. In fact, this has got bits missing on it. We've got this controller board. We've found a controller manufacturer in China that makes controller boards, and so, but they've said that they will do the change the firmware for me. But it's got all the internal connectors I need, and but it was sitting there horizontally like that. Yeah. Now you think, well, why would you want to do it? The whole point is to give it some depth and some size, so it looks good. For example, I want the nice, the bevels, etc. More to the point, if you imagine this is sideways, right? Yeah. And above it, you can have that, right? And then there'll be another one above it, you can have something else. But that doesn't mean you get this. It means you'll have these bays. And the idea is, if you do want to make it as a single computer, you don't need a box to put it on. Then you can actually run it as a computer, put a D10 Nano in it, put anything you like in it. Or Mister, obviously. So that's the concept for this. Now the design, it's going to change. But that picture is really to show you roughly what I'm looking for. And I'm looking at lots of monitors about trying to find one that's got a nice design. I'm not making it as big as an old CRT because it's empty space. I do want it to have a bit of depth because I want to put these in and I want to be able to stack them inside. It's there for a reason. You've got room for decent speakers. So the plan is to make this monitor, and I've already got the electronics. We've got some component. Now I'm going to show you a little video. Right, so you've got yourself a composite signal. And what can you do with a composite signal? I'm going to show you. So this is the panel that we're going to use, and this is the controller board. Right, if I press play on this, I'll talk over it myself. So what we've got here is, you can see it's a 1200 plugged into it. Now I've got the composite lead. Now if you look at the quality of this, right, so you can see the composite's gone into it, right? That's composite. If I pause this, that is normal interlace, high resolution interlace display, but it flicker fixes it. it stabilizes the signal. Yes, they're obviously a little bit washed out because it's composite, but it stabilizes the signal and it looks amazing. And of course, any 15 kilohertz. Now, I've also got a component adapter that you can put in the RGB. Because it gets around the whole 15. At the moment, the 15 kilohertz, they don't make 15 kilohertz panels, but you can put 15 kilohertz into this, and it basically fixes the problem for you because it changes it obviously to, I think it upscales it to 15 kilohertz, and it comes out like that. So you end up with a much better quality display. Let's have multi-sync input. Yeah, of course. Yeah, obviously it will do all that. So the key thing at the moment is I'm in the process of getting a work in progress case built so I can show the concept, get the electronics in it, go and visit people like Neil, okay, sit down and plug all of his machines in and see how they run and see where it works okay. Now, ultimately, one of the modules, my plan was to put one of these in or a new version. But one thing, I've been talking to some people and they've said really this is the best one because they're sort of set up. And there's another one, the Retro Tink or something like that, which is even better. So it's just a board you'll have, and it will plug internally. They've got internal connections. So the idea is that people can make one and plug it in and make it even better than what I'm going to do. But again, it's that how far can I go with this board? Yeah, because the firmware, we're going to be able to change the firmware, but what the chip will do is a generic controller chip. What the chip can do is kind of set in stone. They can play around with the firmware, but they can't work miracles. But so we're going to be seeing what that does. So that is a project for next year. That will be a pretty big Kickstarter because it's very expensive. So that's going to probably be the biggest Kickstarter and the most complex one I've done. Probably have to do 1,000 cases. That's 1,000 monitors. But we'll have to see. Yeah, so that's that project. So, you know, if you want to go and tell people, fine. But if I get a lot of grief from people about, when's it going to be ready? I'll probably can it, and I'll be honest. I'm telling people because the people who are going to be here probably going to be real enthusiasts. Who wants to sit here looking at me, you know? So that's what my thinking. So anyway, that's the monitor project. Right, let's get rid of that and go back to here. That's not it. There you go. Right, let me have a look, see if there's any questions. Question, how is right? Yeah, so going back to Mario's question, how do you want to solve the multiple monitor issue? Now, there's a point. With this monitor, my aim is to kind of have it a high-speed video switcher that can be controlled externally. So just like I did with the Siamese system, we had a little board that went in and you put the two. It basically was one of those VGA switches, but an electronic one, and we controlled it from the computer. Something like that, so that you can control it in software to switch instantly. Now the switching instantly, I'm not 100% sure. It worked great actually with VGA. I'm not sure how well it's going to work with this. I mean, in the old days we used to switch on the CRTs. You would switch in a fraction of a second. Nowadays, I mean, this one's terrible. This one here. If I switch over to, you know, between them, it can take 16, 15, 20 minutes. I'm just obviously, but it can take a while. But we've got the opportunity to get firmware. So that's to me should be all good. Well, you should make the board with hot swap sockets so people can use their own switches of choice. Yeah, sure. Well, I'd make a board with a hot swap. No, okay. I'm assuming, Starish, you're talking about the keyboard. No, I know because no. We can make the board, but you can solve it yourself. But I think the red switches. I hate blues. I don't want to be associated with blue switches. They're bloody horrible. The red switches are, in my mind, the best. Most people like them. Most people who don't know anything about switches like reds. The brown's a bit more tactile, but I like red. So it doesn't make any. It is easy for people to say, and no disrespect, but it's easy for people to say, "I'll just make it so you can swap switches." If you're set up like WSD, they do that, and they will build them in batches and so on. That's all they do, and they're a massive company. I'm not, so we need one line, one type of keyboard to get started. Maybe down the road, if I become a multi-millionaire, massive company, yeah, fine, maybe do that. But I have to pick a switch that I like, and everyone who's played with it likes it. So I'll be a bit, I have to be stubborn on that. Would the monitor be beige? No, it'll be oyster white, same colour as that. Might have some subtle shading differences. So if you remember okay, see the monitors up there? At the moment, I'm torn. I don't know, 1084. I like the 3000 monitor on the right. In fact, that was the one with the 4000. The 3, I'm not so sure about that one, but then again, there's some beautiful monitors out there. So I've got Paul Kitchens going to help me with this, and we're going to try and meld all the different. Try and make a monitor design that looks really retro and everyone's going to love it. And it's going to have a 17-inch panel. Originally I wanted 19, but it kind of made it too big. But I'm thinking of having it so you can swap the panels and have a bigger bezel. I don't know yet. This is just thinking. But yeah, it's going to be a 17-inch panel, which in the old days is almost like a 19-inch. So it's going to be quite big. And also, I doubt I'll be assembling them. I'll probably get them completely made in boxes shipped from China to keep the cost down. But you're probably going to want to know cost around £250, £300, something like that. SCART with dual voltage would be amazing for our side of the pond. Yeah, I mean, look, as I said, SCART definitely. It would be on a separate board. It'd be a breakout board because. The good thing about one of the things I really like about this, I don't know if you can pick it up. You can see all these connectors. You've got like HDMI inputs, VGA inputs, component input, all that kind of stuff, and so we can make a SCART input for that. But that's going to be an area I've got to test. Also, if we do this and we make a Kickstarter, don't be surprised if the Kickstarter's a year, because we've got to get this right. Question. With RGB input, with internal SCART converter thingy. Yeah. The SCART might actually, but because this doesn't have it on there, we'll wait and see. Whether it might be at the breakout boxes an extra 20. I don't know. We'll wait and see. It might be all included. It might not be. With the monitor beige. Oh, we've been there. Yeah. So it's not going to be beige. It's going to be. The idea is to look good on my cases. I'm biased, right? But having said that, I want them to look good on other people's cases. So we will be experimenting with maybe two-tone colouring. The main plastic could be one colour to match my case, and then the front might be a slightly different colour, or black. Can I suggest a volume like megapixel mono? Yeah, the switches are an interesting one. Do we have a drop-down flop lid thing? Right? Do we have that? Do we have it underneath? It won't be. It's not going to be really. But it might be for the volume. No, the problem, because we've got. Look, I'm trying to keep the cost down, right? So we can make nice buttons. It will be buttons, yeah. So it'll be controller buttons, volume up and down. So I know a dial will be great, but it makes it more expensive, and I've just got to be really careful with the cost. But again, it's not guaranteed. But I like the idea of having my two cases with a really nice keyboard and a really nice monitor sitting on top that looks retro. It's 4:3 aspect ratio. It's perfect for the display of the machines. It can do high resolution. It'll go 1280 by 1024. And I mean, the IPS looks amazing. The panels I've got a few panels sitting over it. A couple of panels on here. Now, just so you know that I am actually working. Well, you saw from the video I've actually been doing this, but yeah. Well, this one's a 19-inch, which is way too big, and this is the 17. These are actually two crap ones that they sent me. There's a good box over there with the good ones in it. But they all work. But the idea was the IPS is, when you go around the side, you can still see it. And them two underneath there, you went like that. I can't see it. So yeah. Right. So even though it's matching my case, I don't want it to. If I make it exactly the same colour, it won't look right. It'll probably be tonal changes so that it looks good, because I want it to look. What I want it to do is, if someone's got like an IBM PC, they want to pop it on there, or if they've got themselves an Amstrad computer, an Acorn like a 4000, like I've got, I'll put it on there. Put it on any retro machine, or if you've got like an Amiga, you want to stick it behind that, and it looks good. It looks good behind. The idea is to make it look good, a good-looking retro-inspired monitor, but with a flat panel, but supporting all the inputs. That's basically it. So again, keep it under your hats. I mean, I probably will be getting the design off a manufacturer, the case. Plans this month. So the plan is this month to, it might roll, and then but it'll be 3D printed, but they've got a massive 3D print machine and metal inside, so we can test the boards. And so I'll have a bit of a design look on it, like the one you've seen. It'll be similar to that. That won't probably be the final design. It'll be hopefully massively improved. Oh, no one will buy it. This is proof of concept. Show people, just to show people the concept, See if I can get interest, because it's going to be a massive Kickstarter. It's going to be at least twice the value of 3 times the value probably of my other Kickstarters. It's going to have to be huge. So, but I'm hoping people like, for example, if you bought it will only be succeed if it goes cross communities. Having said that, my plus cases, I did 670, and I think I've kind of in my back of a fag packet, which I don't smoke, got to do 1,000 cases, roughly 250 to 300 euros, pounds, plus obviously taxes. So it's quite a big Kickstarter, but it's it's a big project. It might not sound like much, but I can tell you now the moulding is 60 grand, 70 grand moulding. So I get the figures don't hold me against, because it might be cheaper, but we'll have to see. But yeah, so that's the secret plans. S video. I don't know if you need S from me. Yes, you can. I mean, you have components, so I'm not sure. I mean, S video is not a problem. It's just a case of. But I think it'd be part of the breakout board. So if you've got like SCART, if we do a breakout board, because you can't put it on, it won't be on this, because this is basically a finished board. It won't be on there. It will be on a breakout board that connects, and then you can replace that breakout board maybe with another. Someone else can make something better, like an FPGA, to ramp the quality. Because I'm expecting, my plan is that 95% of people who see it love it. I know 5%, 10% will go, that sucks, right? But it's, they'll put the things on it and they'll always a little bit off on. You're going to get that, and I understand that. So that's the whole idea of the pods, whatever you want to call them. I'm probably going to be called pods because I like the name and I'm nicking it. So that you could, like I was saying, you can have one of them, an audio controller board above it. So it's either 3 or 4 bays. Hence the reason for the hole in the big back. But I'm not going too big. Anyway, that's. The bezel of the second type 1084S was a bit dark. Yeah, absolutely right. That's what I mean. So two-tone. I think two-tone would look really nice. Now, Jeremy said, I'll send you some images. I think it'd be right. Okay, so I'm really up for anyone who wants to send in some designs. I'm not, if we nick them, we will come to an agreement. But the designs will be concept designs, because your designs won't work for production. But if the concepts look really nice, then we'll work something out. I've got Paul Kitchen, but he's very nervous. I think he's a bit nervous of this because it's a bit of a big deal. But my idea is, if I stick it on my 1000, and my baby over there, see that? If I stick it on that, it's got to look good. If I stick it on the 2000, it's got to look good. If I put it on a 3000, it's got to look good. It's got to look good when you go round it. It's got to have a stand, with the round. It's got to have all that. We may even have the stand so you can take the stand off, so you can go old school. It's not massive at the back. It's probably half the depth, but it'll be there. Will you be able to switch between the inputs and have multiple computers plugged in? Oh yeah, absolutely right. That's the whole idea. This one here, you can see I've got an HDMI switcher. So if technically it's doing that, right? You can do that on any monitor, multiple systems. You can do that, but I want to have it so it's under computer control. Yeah, that's what I want. I want under computer control. So if you've got some way of getting a signal, it's only a switch. I've done this before. Alice has already got this code in the software to turn the switch. The problem with doing that is, obviously, with most of these, what happens is it's going to be hard because they're just, there's a whole load of switches and you toggle through them all. And so if you've got 3 or 4, knowing which one, so you see it might be a bit tricky. In an ideal world, we'd have a bit of software breakout board, you plug it in and go, and then you send it a string HDMI, bang. That ain't going to happen, but that would be perfect. Send HDMI 1. But more importantly, really more importantly, instant switching. Bang like that. he's got, what wine are you drinking? No, this is beer. Yeah, but I got this from Belgium. I love Belgian beer. Not that I've got any, but in fact, I think this might be. I don't know. How about, I like my ales. Yeah, I get the I like the reserve ones a little bit stronger because I only have one. Right. Okay. Any more questions? Does anyone want to see my computer? Is anything? I'll tell you what we could do actually. Let me go back here. Let's put let's run that again. I do like that. I spent ages setting that up today just to be able to play it. I've got to sort out my audio card though. Right. Any questions? Anything else you want me to talk about before I, well, basically go to bed? It's quite funny though. I've had about 35 people and 23 people liked it and 1 disliked it. That's hilarious. Where's the comments on the thing? Anyway, it's been going on forever, this, hasn't it? Yeah, Jan. The bezel of the second type 1084S was a bit dark. Yeah, that's the thing I was thinking. That I've got a 1084S. I've got that one over there, which is just a standard 1084. So, but if you look at all of them, they're all subtle. But it's. I'm obviously going to be inspired by Commodore monitors. Doesn't mean they're going to look like a Commodore monitor. We'll see. You know, it's about making it look like, oh yeah, that looks just like my. Oh no, don't. What do you? Oh no, don't. You know, just so that everyone has that. Hopefully, that kind of moment when they can go, oh yeah. And when you put it on your machine, the key thing is put it on your machine, it looks good. Now, looking good is part of the equation. The display being good is even more important. But as I said, I'm aiming to please 95% of people. I'm not aiming to please 100%. I'm aiming to please 95%. And then other people can make a breakout board, an internal board, to just, because literally, if you think about it, you could take one of them, the OSSC, the ports are in the wrong position, but in theory you could shove it in there, plug into it, control it, and it's built in. But ideally someone do one that's actually a bit more well thought out. But yeah, so that's the idea. Question. I would love some picture-in-picture option too. We'll bring back the Siamese thing. Yeah, that's something different. The whole RTG I can't but I haven't got anyone to help me do it. Thank you, yeah, nice, thank you, yeah. Well, okay, Alfie is amazing. You probably know that I don't put him on camera, and if you do see him on camera, you only see the back. I don't like him on camera. Technically, you can see him up there, but he's absolutely wonderful, and he first computer name he Amiga, and I mentioned it to him once. He came in and I put it again. He loves the demos. He loves the demos. He likes watching. He calls it Dance Lady, but he loves State of the Art with the dancing girl. Or the flashing bit. I'm going to stand in front of him with that. And he likes DOS because he likes the ball going on. He loves that. He loves all the. He likes Demons. He loves Lemmings. Absolutely loves Pinball Fantasies. So no, he's got his own. That's his. Oh, well, actually, no, his computer's sitting behind me. But he's got his is actually the Mystics. So. Right, let's yeah, picture. Don't know. Did Commodore manufacture their own monitor houses or just rebadge third-party ones? It's a good question. I wouldn't be surprised if they were Philips. But I don't know. I don't actually know the answer to that, because the Philips one did all the same thing, didn't they? Pretty much. Yeah, but Little Man is pretty awesome. One thing that no, as I said, I'm gonna do this. I mean, if there's a call for it, it's gonna do this like for say next 3 or 4 Mondays, and I do want to do one specifically for the Amiga, because even though I've hardly sold any, I really like the Amiga. It just seems really pure, because it's not trying to be everything. It's not trying to emulate, you know, simulate everything, or whatever you want to call it. I've had it set purely to be an Amiga, good one, but you can actually reflash them and make them so they could multi-core. So there's about 4 or 5 different cores. C64, the 64 one's pretty good. Spectrum Next, I think they got on there, and a couple of others. But I've just done it for Amiga, and because I like it when you turn it on, boots up, and you get the boing boing, and it comes up mist, yeah, mist, because it's that core. And I will say that I'll get in trouble for this, but I do think that I don't get me wrong, I love my vampire, absolutely love my. I mean, you'll see I've got a vampire in here, and I've also got another one. At some point, I have another vampire waiting to go in my 1000 at some point. So that's going to happen soon. But yeah, so I really like but that little serial network thing won't beat me. I will get it sorted out at some point. Man, you should see that. To feel that keyboard on that 2000 is amazing. It's way better than my 3000 keyboard. Yeah, so my aim is for keyboard is to make a better keyboard than that. So it looked like that, right? Even like the idea of the curly cable. It'll look like that, but with real cherry switches. But that's depends if this company crops up. So if you wondered why would I want to support you on Patreon, a couple of quid a month, a couple of dollars a month, that's where the money's going. It helps out, absolutely helps out no end. Okay. Any more questions? Because I'm pretty knackered. And then I can go to bed. No, I do like that. You're going to get blown up, mate. Watch out. Dark. Here they come. Yeah, so the whole point of doing the Siamese gig is so that you can have your FPGA like a Mystics or you know, like the Amiga, but also have one of these in it. So you can. This is fantastic. It's a wonderful little computer. You know, you can literally use it as your everyday machine. Now, if you've not tried my Amy Hybrid or Amiga Hybrid, right? Which is basically now has become AmiKit, the new AmiKit for the Pi. If you've not tried that, you want to give it a go. I'll tell you, it is absolutely amazing. Yeah, so I'm really pleased with that. Calm on there, and any more questions? Any more? I'm nearly out of beer. I do like Morphos. I finally built my. I don't know if you can see it. If I click back here, I do like my little Morphos machine. I got one of those old Mac Minis. Yeah, see you later. R16815. Names would be good. I'm assuming most people are going to think and going, right, okay, let's do this. I'm going to turn on, let's get another question in the next. I'll tell you what, I'll run that again. When that finishes, if there's no more questions, I'm going. Go to bed. It's quite a good little video. So it's really nice using this old hardware. It's stupid because look what I'm doing now. You know, 1080p stream out, mixing different screens, but it's quite good fun playing around with it. You're welcome, Neil. Don't forget, go out and buy Neil's board. Nah, don't do that. He's gone now. Don't do that. Buy mine. No, it's important. I want to sell cases. That's my thing. I want to sell cases. The case. Alright, Jeremy, what do you mean the case is ongoing? I'm still making them. I'm not making any more cases. Can the second SD slot on the Amiga be used? No, I think it's the same thing. Certain cores use it. I think, for example, the Spectrum Next uses that as storage. So no, the answer to that is no. Maybe if the MIST core would have to be, you know, written to support the MISTers implementation, I think. But the answer is no. Don't need it really. I mean, use the card. I understand actually with Mystics people why they want to do that. I don't see the point because you pretty much get what you want in the original one. Oh god. Oh, so plus or mini? Both. I'm still selling both. I've just ordered another 50 plus cases. I'm going to order, in the process of ordering a load more Zorro cards. So the cases are continuing. No, I'm not stopping the cases. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. I've just paid for another 6 months rent on my office, which is bloody expensive. Because people think that it's easy to do. It's not. It cost me thousands. And of course, after the Kickstarter, the sales they take a nosedive. Now it's selling, but it's by the time if you take out the cost of the office. So you may find if the Kickstarter doesn't take off, then I may just close it down, literally run it from my garage, and just ship a few out as I do them, that kind of thing, without having an expensive office. But I'll continue selling. 3,000 with a silent PC board and mini case. Oh, that sounds like a great idea. Yeah, you do 3,000 with a silent PC. Yeah, okay. Why not? You probably want to get yourself a higher end. Look, my power supplies are really good, right? These are lovely little power supplies, and they are PC power supplies. They're only 200 watt. And if you're going to put a PC in it, I'd personally go and buy a higher rated one, even though you might not need it. These are really for Amigas and that kind of thing. I'm not saying I won't do it because I've got one running, a low-end PC quite happily. But if I say use it for PC and someone puts something big processor on it, too much, I just get shot down. So it's not worth it. Yeah, plus cases are really nice. I don't know if, let me just see if I can turn the camera around. It's probably hard to see actually because it's a bit dark, but you can see my plus case there. Oh good. Oh, you like that? I'm glad you Yeah, the Amy hybrid. I mean, I want to call it Amiga hybrid one day, but that was something that myself and Dimitri worked on for quite a while, and then we managed to talk Jan into doing it with, and he really went to town on it. I mean, he just ran with it and made such a great job on it. And it really is the full Monty of what I wanted, because I like the idea of it, and because it's so fast. I mean, it costs peanuts, and it will literally annihilate the vampire. But the vampire's a different thing entirely. I like the vampire actually in an Amiga itself, like in my 2000. Yeah, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. Oh, one thing, Jeremy, one little thing. Have you switched your? I think it was Jeremy. Sorry, Amiga NG. If you've got the Pi, switch Manjaro to 50 hertz. The display to 50 hertz instead of 60. If you run it at 50 hertz, the Amiga demos are perfection, and all the games are smooth as butter. Because I always, well, FPGA is better than that. Right? But actually, no. If you switch it, and it literally as good as FPGA, and you got all that power. So Pi is probably the best one. And I've got people say, "Oh, I'll just do it on a PC." It's not the same. It's really not the same. I've got a really powerful PC. Even if you mess around with that, it's not the same. Linux just seems to. Linux on the Pi, as I said, switch it to 50 hertz. It's absolutely amazing. You have a 500 board with no case. You can get a case in. But I let other people comment on that. It's important that, I mean, it's okay. One thing for me to tell you about it, but there's an awful lot. If you, I don't know, Tanithis, I've got it right. Join the Facebook group and ask other people. You'll see lots of people's stories about how they built their cases and what they've done with it. But I like the 500 in it. I don't know if you noticed up there my purple, sorry, not pink, my purple 500, which has got to go in. In fact, actually, that plus case there is going to have that board, and my Warp 560 going in it. Not a vampire with that one. Warp 560. Now it'd be pretty awesome. Right. Okay. That's finished. Oh, I did get a question. Is there any more questions? Oh, okay. What am I running? I have two of these. This one's got Stantonbury thingy written all over it. I have one sitting over there, as you can see, it's running, and that's a 1.45 gigahertz G4. I put half a gig of RAM in it. I had a gig, but I took that out and actually put it in my Pentium Linux box in the 2000, because this is only 500 megabytes is more than enough. But more importantly, this has got a normal hard drive in here, but in that one I put an SSD, so it's lightning fast. It's got 128 gig SSD. But the best thing in the world is Synergy. I run Synergy with it, and it's absolutely amazing. Let me put this on. Hang on. I've not put the sound on. I don't know if you can pick up how smooth that is. Possibly not, because I'm only running at 30 frames a second, which is not 25, is it? But that's the Mystics running there. But that looks a bit jerky on there, but it's not. It's perfectly smooth. But yeah, so I've got two of these. Why I got these was I was going to tear them apart and put them in my case. The problem is the board for the DVD drive it's got a board that connects, and you can't really move it. I can't find a way of getting the cables and extending it, and you can't power it. It's better off just staying in there, to be fair. So in the end, I just stuck it up there, and I used it, and I don't have a keyboard and mouse in it. I just use my existing one, so it's really good. But yeah, no, I mean this is really this is running. I actually ordered it in, and it was it's sold not working. So I got this is 1.25 gigahertz, this one, and I got it in. I took it apart. The DVD doesn't work, but I got everything else working. In fact, no, that's right, because I took the old one. I set up the drive. I did a test on the existing drive in there, hard drive, and I've shoved that in here, so that worked. But that works nice. Right, as soon as you lot, I'm going to shut everything down and I'm going to go, because as always I'm sitting in there. Thanks very much for taking part. Sorry I was always looking over there or over there or over there. Thanks very much for taking part, and if you're free next Monday, the thing is, I suppose it depends if it's actually worth doing it. Yeah, next Monday I'll think of something to do, but I'll answer questions all day long. I'm not sure if I can do the Amiga one next week, but I'll do that probably the week after, because I want to actually get that up and running. But yeah, if people want to do it, I'll do it for an hour, just have a chat about cases. All right, okay. Thanks so much, guys. And I will speak to you soon. I'm going to kill this stream. And how do we kill this? Let me just see if I can stop it. End stream. Yeah, I'm going to kill it right now. Thanks very much for taking part. Good night. See you later.